After a series of incidents where stray cattle were locked up inside the schools and government facilities in Uttar Pradesh, the UP government has now issued a stern directive to all the district collectors to ensure adequate facilities for cows. Yogi Adityanath's government has issued a directive to the officials listing a slew of steps to be taken to deal with this problem. My colleague Prashant now joins me on the phone line with further updates on this. Prashant, finally some kind of directive there coming out after we've seen the kind of incidents where stray cattle were in fact locked inside schools and government facilities in Uttar Pradesh.
Well, absolutely. The stray cattle menace is something that the UP government has faced for quite some time now. We saw the kind of anger that prevailed on the ground in which the local villagers, and mostly of them were the farmers, they tried to lodge strong protest. They tried to lock the cows in the schools and hospitals, forcing the students to take classes on the streets sitting outside the school. So this was something that was in the offing. Now, after a relentless coverage by Mirror Now on a day-to-day basis, the way we showed what exactly was transpiring on ground, you have the UP government finally coming out, cracking the whip, now issuing a 23-page directive to all the district collectors to ensure that there is no more menace of the stray cattle who, roam around aimlessly on the streets, graze fields of the farmers, because this is a harvest season and farmers have been having a lot of problems. Now, so I can talk about some of the directions that are there in that particular 23-page order that has been given. Of course, first happens to be the identifying of land for GAUSHALAS. Now, land is something that is a big problem for the UP government. That's the reason why the collectors have been issued direction to identify the lands first, because lands where the GAUSHALAs will be made. Now, ensuring proper food, fodder, water, light for the stray cattle, because once you make the GAUSHALA, you will have to have all these basic facilities, because we have seen deaths of cows and cattle in the GAUSHALAs also, the government-run GAUSHALAs also, because the functions, the facilities are not that great there. Ensuring of, and also registering and numbering the stray cattle roaming on the streets, ensuring the funds. And also it has ordered the collectors to ensure that the funds that have already been allocated are used judiciously and immediately to tackle this menace, among many other measures. The most important one is the creation of fodder banks. So the fodder banks would be places in empty lying big buildings in the districts in which the fodder banks will be created to store fodder for the cattle. So these are some important directives that the UP government has come out with in the backdrop of what has been happening. And just if I can just take 30 more seconds, we saw how the cow menace was happening. We saw how the cattle menace was gripping the UP government. We saw how cows were started entering hospitals, police stations, schools, and also in a way entering the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas auditorium at a time when the PM was speaking. So these are all something that was embarrassing the government. And now, in face of that, you have the UP government, the Yogi government coming out and taking some sort of action. Whether or not the directives will be implemented on ground in terms of the orders is something that only the time will tell. But for now, yes, announcement has been made, and we'll have to see what happens on the ground now.
Absolutely. It is important to see whether these kind of directives are really implemented properly. We leave it there. Prashant, many thanks for joining us and getting